Well, it's almost Labor Day. It's the second Sunday, kind of closing out our summer period of time. So as Paul did with us last week, I want to also share with you a story to get us started today. Reaching the end of a job interview, the human resources person asked a very young accountant who was fresh out of school, what starting salary are you thinking about? So the young accountant said, in the neighborhood of $100,000 a year, depending, of course, on the benefits package. The interviewer said, well, what would you say to a package of 5 weeks vacation, full medical and dental, company retirement fund at 50% of your salary, a profit share program related to pay, and a company car leased every 2 years, let's say a Series 5 BMW? And the young accountant sat straight up in his chair and said, wow, are you kidding? The interviewer replied, yes, I am, but you started it. I think Labor Day is kind of a strange holiday. While we call it Labor Day, it's the last thing we actually do. We do as little labor as possible, and most working people just have the day off. And I don't recall anyone wishing me a happy Labor Day or sending me a Labor Day card. We don't give corsages or decorate the house or give Labor Day gifts. Even the fluorescent greeting card manufacturers finally have not found the one thing they can't capitalize on. Of course, it's a boon to resorts like Ocean City and other tourist areas, and it's a bad weekend for some church congregations because so many want to travel on that day. Yes, Labor Day is different to different people. To the factory or office worker, it might be just a day off. But for mothers and wives who have both dad and the kids to deal with, it can be a very difficult day. For policemen who must deal with heavy traffic and alcohol abuse, it's a tough day. To farmers and ranchers, just another day to feed cattle and work the field. I suppose one reason we have Labor Day is because we seem to need a holiday every few months or so. It is the end of the summer, school's about to start, vacations are over, and it's just time to put your nose to the grindstone and your shoulder to the wheel once again. Now, speaking for myself, I can't remember the last time I turned to my neighbor and said, thank you for the work you do. I trust that you are doing your best to make the world a better place. And on this day, I celebrate you. You want to say it again so you can write it down because you're probably going to give that greeting next Monday to somebody. If you think about it, this became a federal holiday back in June, end of June 28th, in fact, 1894. I should say that's when it was recognized to be a federal holiday. It was always designated to be the Sunday before Labor Day as the unofficial time to spiritually recognize the importance of the worker, of the laborer. I'm just pushing it up a week. I hope that's okay. Now, some might say that it's just the American way. It's what happens at a time and place when we are all so busy, so stressed out, so worried about the state of events. Some might say that we need to blow off steam every now and then, and we may just explode if we don't. Some might even say it's my time and I've earned it, so I'm taking it. And frankly, I agree with all three of those statements. I agree that one of the best things we could do for ourselves is self-care. As a matter of fact, I'm a firm believer that if we don't practice self-care, we diminish our usefulness in our own lives, and other lives, and in all that we do. So by all means, we must do what we need to do to be the best selves we can be. That's why we should all be grateful that Pastor Stacy decided to take not 1 but 2 weeks to take this vacation. And I mean that very sincerely. That's the self-care kind of thing that she needed to do and should have done. And we should praise her for it because she's going to come back energized. If she comes back tanned, we'll all be angry at her. But nonetheless, we should be grateful that we have a pastor who understands the importance of self-care. But indeed, the work that we all do is important, and it's a very important part of our life. Now, someone written there are 4 kinds of bones in the world. And they're up here. We got the wishbones. You know who they are, right? They're the ones who spend their time wishing someone else would do the work. We have jawbones. Those are who do all the talking but very little else. I don't appreciate you staring at me like that right now because I'm taking it kind of personally. You got the knuckle bones who knock everything that everyone else is trying to do. And then finally we got the backbones who shoulder the load and actually do the work. I believe one of the great mistakes of our society, though, is in dividing the world up into categories. Because here is the economic world, one set of values and rules that govern all those economics. And over here is the world of religion, or spirituality, if you wish, another set of values that governs that world. We come to church on Sunday, and we are influenced by the values and commands of God. But when we go to work on Monday, we are influenced by the values and rules of man. We are trying to live under 2 distinct authorities that are often in conflict with one another. So as we look at some passages of Scripture this morning from Paul, I think we're going to discover 3 important facts about the work that we do. So the first one is the nature of work. The first is the nature, or my question is, what is the nature of work? The world tells us that work is a struggle to climb up the ladder of success to gain as much status and power as we can. But Paul tells us to change that mindset and consider our work as a service to God. Regardless of what it is we do, we are to serve God in the work we perform. If we look at work that way, it will dispel the idea of judging people by the kind of work that they do. Some say that a person who works with his hands is not nearly as important as the person who works with his mind. Therefore, it gives greater rewards to executives, supervisors, the people who think things through and tell others what to do. And that often produces a professional snobbiness. Now, I came across an imaginary letter addressed to Jesus, son of Joseph, carpenter shop, Nazareth. That was the address. And it came from the Jordan Management Consultants in Jerusalem. Now, supposedly, in this story, Jesus has sent the resumes of all 12 apostles to be evaluated. This management consultant firm had given them a battery of tests and now is writing back to Jesus to tell him of the conclusions they came up with. Now, looking at this imaginary letter, here are some of their findings after testing the 12 men that Jesus had selected. And it said the following: in the opinion of our staff, most of your candidates are lacking in background, education, and vocational aptitude for the type of enterprise you are undertaking. Simon Peter is emotionally unstable and given to fits of temper. Andrew has absolutely no qualities of leadership. The 2 brothers, James and John, seem to place personal interests above their loyalty, above team loyalty. Thomas demonstrates a questioning attitude that would tend to undermine morale. In addition, we feel that it's our duty to tell you that Matthew has been blacklisted by the Greater Jerusalem Better Business Bureau, and that James, the son of Alphaeus, Simon the Zealot, and Thaddeus definitely have radical leanings. In the light of our findings, we recommend that you continue searching for other candidates with managerial experience and proven capability. Oh, by the way, one of the candidates, however, shows great potential. He is a man of ability and resourcefulness. He meets people well. He has keen business mind and has contacts in high places. He is greatly motivated and ambitious and very responsible. So we highly recommend Judas Iscariot as your chief financial officer and administrative assistant. I'm afraid that's just the way some folks think, because as we look at these people, we don't look for the same things Jesus looked for. And we miss some of the things that Jesus sees. Jesus was able to see a potential and capability that we often miss. So what is the nature of work? Paul says that we are to consider our work as a service to God, no matter what we do. Mowing lawns, preaching sermons, working in the field or in the office, whatever you do, we should do to the glory of God and not just to gain status of power among society. Now, is that possible for you? Do you really think that what you do is for the glory of God? Now, I have to say, in my job as a realtor, I certainly call on God a lot, but it's not for his glory. Oh, please, oh God, let this settle. Oh, please, oh God, let them actually have financing to be able to buy the house. Please, oh God, let this not crash again, this real estate market. But as I look at what I do differently, helping folks get to their next level in life by either moving up or downsizing, God can be in both of those things. So think about the why of what it is that you do. And could it be argued that God is in that work? So that leads me to the second question. What is the purpose of work? Our answer will depend on how we answer the first question. If you answer the first question by saying the nature of work is to struggle that ladder of success, then your answer to the second question will be, well, the purpose of work is to make money and accumulate the things of the world. But if you answer the first question by saying the purpose of work is to serve God, then the answer to the second question is also different. Paul gives us an answer to that question in Ephesians 4, verse 28. He says, "Let him who steals steal no longer, but rather let him labor, use your hands for good work, and then give generously to others in need." So here's what Paul is saying. The purpose behind work is not to accumulate possessions, but the purpose behind our work is to meet needs. And that can be a little hard to swallow. A business person might think Paul is out of touch with reality because he doesn't realize that we have to make a profit. If we don't make a profit, we have to lay off employees. And if we lay off employees, no paycheck coming in. So it's important for us to make a profit. And Paul's not saying not to make a profit. In fact, he's not saying that at all. The Bible clearly says and never discourages that making a profit is a good thing. In fact, the Bible teaches us that it's wise to make more money than you spend. Kind of an interesting economic principle, wouldn't you say? Just common sense. But the Bible discourages hoarding and greed and covetousness and the worship of things. Paul is saying the purpose in our working is that we might have money to support ourselves and our families and those who are in need. Salem is a wonderful reflection of that stand. I believe that has a very unique application for the people of God. We are told to give special attention to one another. And when there is a need among us, that need is to be a concern of the other family members. The purpose of going to work is so we might have the ability to do that. So the third thing is the result of work. The last question. Now, work is important, and from the moment he made Adam and Eve, God gave them work to do. But work in and of itself cannot fully satisfy. But we think it can because we identify with what we do. Who are you, we ask. The answer is, I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor. I'm a pediatrician. I'm a realtor. We are what our work is, and if we do something worthwhile, we feel we are worth something. But a preacher friend of mine, when I went to Towson, we hung out together. He was not a preacher then, but he became a preacher once he graduated college, and for many years was a very good shepherd to his flock. He never wanted to do anything else but preach the gospel, but problems arose and he left the ministry. He has another job now which pays way better, but he went through a tremendous identity crisis because he had always been a preacher. And when someone asked him who he was, he would always answer, I'm a preacher. But now he sees himself as someone else just because his job changed. This is one of the reasons why many people dread the idea of retirement, saying, I'm never going to retire. Because it seems that when you retire, some folks think you are no longer valuable. And society teaches us that you are what you do and what you have accumulated. And I think those of you who have already retired or just retired will say that's just not true. Because you see God in what you're doing even in retirement, in the work that you do there. More important than anything else is our relationship to Christ. If we gain the whole world and lose our soul, what have we gained? If we lay up treasures that rust and rot away and have no treasure in heaven, what do we really have? That great song, Count Your Many Blessings, that our choir sings a number of times, and certainly we've sang it as a congregation, speaks to looking closer at what we've accumulated. Is it things or blessings? Are those blessings worth anything to God? Absolutely. And that's why the ultimate supervisor is appreciative of your acknowledging your many blessings. Now, I like steeples on church buildings. I see them all the time when I drive around the Beltway. And one of the reasons I like them is because most of the time you can see them from a very far distance. You can see them in the midst of trees and rooftops, in the midst of a busy community, like I said, in the midst of the Beltway. They stand like beacons pointing toward heaven, and I like them because in the midst of everything else, it marks a place where Jesus is proclaimed, reminding people as they make their way to work that there's something even more important and eternal. So on this upcoming Labor Day, like any day of rest, any Sabbath, any Sunday, let us rest in each other. Let us find comfort in one another's humanity and in each other's peace. Let us share our peace if we see none forthcoming. Let us ask for peace if our soul supply is depleted. On that day, on every Sunday, let us find a renewal. Let us take the time to recharge our batteries, not just so that we can face another day. Let us take the time after resting in each other to renew our hope and faith in humanity. As we catch each other on our Sabbath, may we truly see the best of what each of us has to offer. May it strengthen us as we gear up to get back to that crazy race of life. On that day, may this rest and renewal yield in us a delight in our lives and in each other. May the hope we find in each other cause us to be giddy enough to smile randomly as we stroll through a park or drive our car. How great it would be for you to think about smiling while you're driving the car. And like Mike and I, who love to be antagonists, we want to do it just so that people can say, what are they laughing at? What are they smiling about? Why are you so happy? Again, maybe that's not the right spirit to smile and make people think that. But imagine how different your life would be if you smiled anyway. How about catching the smile of a small child? That's a blessing. May we stop long enough to find the delight of love in the long partnered couple as they stop in their tracks, pull close together, and make a wall against the world that threatens to push them back. On that special day, Sunday, the Sabbath, may we rest from our labor. May we honor our ancestors and all who have gone before. May we take the time to stop and just for a little while see ourselves in this awesome, sacred arc of time and know that we are part of something grand. May we see that greatness in each other and finally remember to say to someone, thank you for the work that you do. I trust you're doing your best to make the world a better place. I know I'm trying to do that too. So God is at work. God is at home. And he offers a meaning and a purpose in life which we will never be able to find anywhere else. My question to you is, are you laboring for him? Are you living to work or working to live? For your family or your community? For him? Enough said. Get to work. Amen.